Today is July 8th, and we successfully convinced Boone to move Jazz to second base on this episode. It's awesome.
Talking Yanks with old John Boy Jake. Recaps galore, weekly awards, stat lines, theme, and hot takes. Get your Yankees news from
These two fine dudes.
or Talking Yanks.
Talking Yanks with old Jake.
John Boy Jake. Talking Yanks with old John Boy Jake.
Hello and welcome to Talking Yanks. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Jimmy. His name is Jake, BBD producing in the corner. Do you have news, Jake?
No, I was looking for some reliever help, and we'll get there.
Okay, we'll get there later. What I said in the intro is a lie, but only there's truth in it. We talked to Boone, and we'll get to Boone quick. But I wanted to let them know, Jake, that and this episode is brought to you by SeatGeek, as they all are. I spent my entire train ride and first half hour in the office prepping all the data points for my debate on why they need to get DJ out of the infield and move Jazz back to second. And I put together a horrible graphic visually, but the data was great. In the upcoming interview, Boone does say, yeah, Jazz won't be at third anymore. Did we convince him? No. Did I get to share this data? No. But I wanted to share with you guys because it did take a little too long. Infield singles. They were 10th at allowing infield singles before Jazz went to third base, the first 58 games. In the 32 games since Jazz returned and been playing third, they are 30th. They've given up the most infield singles. Well, there's the left side and the right side. Well, the left side, Jake, they were sixth best when it was Cabrera, Peraza, and Volpe over there at allowing infield singles. Since then, they've been 30th, allowing infield singles to the left side.
Not good.
No.
Not good. And the whole thing was noticeably bad. And it's making two positions worse. And it's, almost you and I had a feeling of like rubbing the dog's nose in its poop when we were going to talk to Boone today, because we're like, hey, this is kind of the same stuff, playing guys out of position and hurting the overall team. And yeah, stats back it up. The eye test has backed it up from the start. So yeah, it's the interview starts off with a good bang.
Yeah, and I didn't get to drop all these points.
I know.
So I gave them to you here.
You got to still drop a lot of them.
Yeah, but not.
There was a little after effect.
Those are bad. The bunting we talked about.
Right.
And some other stuff. This is so bad. So thank God they made that move. We talk about a lot of stuff. We have our classic Volpe argument where he says we're saying he's a dog shit player, and we say, no, it's just like you run him into the ground and he could use some rest. And then he was way more giving in some of the conversations, like how defensive conversations and coaching works. He was like, all right, here you go. Here's the inside scoop. Where I think last year I asked something like that and he wouldn't even like delve into that.
Left some
nice.
doors opens on some things as well. Go check it out. Today's Bantering with Boone is presented by T-Mobile, the network we trust, whether we're home, at the ballpark, or on the road. This weekend was the 4th of July. Hell yeah. And I was all over. I went to Brooklyn for a minute. I went to Connecticut for a minute. And I was checking in on the Yanks throughout using America's largest 5G network. Also this season, thanks to Magenta Status, we have access to a bunch of perks just for being with T-Mobile. Discounted tickets to select MLB games, hotel deals, free in-flight Wi-Fi, you got it, and perfect for trips like heading to the Derby. Be there in a couple of days. If you're not already with T-Mobile, now is the time to add the best 5G coverage in the game. Learn more at T-Mobile.com/MLB. Big thanks to T-Mobile partnering with us all season long. Here, Derby, everywhere, warehouse. Boone.
Welcome back to another Bantering with Boone. Booney coming off of the off day, finally. That was a short trip, but still a lot of travel. 4-game set, 3-game set. A lot of losing, unfortunately. Is it nice to get a day off?
It was. Pretty long stretch there of the 16 in a row, then off day 10 in a row. So, yeah, I mean, definitely, at least get a win into the off day. Hopefully a little bit of a reset for us, and I think much needed for the guys. And, hopefully we can finish strong here into the break.
I do have one stat for you before we jump into the meat of the episode. As you say, you got a win going into the off day.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know that you guys are like the best ever at that this year? Which
I did not.
You are going into the off day, last game of the series. Where do I have it? You are, I think, 21-6.
Wow.
A lot of happy flights.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts how much you guys have been taking care of business when you know you have a flight coming up.
Yeah. I'm going to chalk that up to a little just coincidence. And, but, hopefully we can start getting the front end of some and then still keep that happy flight intact too.
I'm in on that.
Mm-hmm.
We, Boone, we've got, hey, it's the first rough patch of the year. I know baseball's a long season. We are the mouthpiece of the fans. I am the mouth of the fans, I've been called. We have some ideas or curiosities that we're going to be running past you this episode because it's, they're Yankee fan talking points, and we want to see where we're right or wrong. I think one of them circles around Jazz, and I guess the first part is what's going on with the injury and, like, where's Jazz at with that?
Jazz is doing well. I mean, he's, obviously he had the injury that knocked him out for, better part of a month. But came back from that and just right away had a little bit of a groin, had a little bit of a shoulder issue, but overall he's been doing okay and been able to go to the post every day. Sunday, I think, was his first off day. So he's been in a pretty good place this whole time, albeit a little banged up.
Throwing shoulder?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but nothing that's prevented him from hitting, throwing. It's limited some of his, prep and all that. It's been a little more get ready to play, but he's been fine in that regard.
Maybe it's even helping a little bit because 70% Jazz is an all-star. And if he's
Correct.
fully healthy, he's not, recovering from oblique shoulder, he might tip the scale to that 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which,
No, he's obviously been swinging the bat incredibly well. So, hopefully it continues. And I really feel like, through this stretch, one of the good things that has started happening is I feel like we've really started to swing the bat consistently. We're, putting up consistent runs every day. Now we just got to, start preventing them at a little higher rate, which was such a strength for us the first, couple months of the season, but the last couple of weeks, that's been a challenge. And that's where we got to get a little bit better right now.
Yeah. And fans and myself and Jake are looking at the switch to moving Jazz to third. And I liked it. I understood at first you had a lead in the division. You're prepping for availability for him to play both positions later on. I was with you after this stretch and seeing the defense, the lack of run prevention. Like I'm casting my vote to move him back to second. I think
he's playing second tonight.
Yes.
Okay.
And is that going to be where he plays? Because you said you didn't want to move him back and forth. So is this a change to get him back at second?
Yeah, I think so. And we'll continue to work through it again, depending on all the moving parts and things that could possibly happen. But I think right now I want to move him back over there. I
prepped for such a debate. You just took away a lot of my
good
homework.
News kind of took the winds out of our sails.
Oh, okay.
But you're right. The infield defense was really good.
So what does that mean for third base? Does that mean DJ and Peraza are going there? Does it mean
Peraza is going to play there tonight, and it'll just be fluid, and we'll see how it unfolds a little bit.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that. Yeah. Jazz has such range, especially up the middle at second. He's got the arm, but you can see it misfiring a lot recently. And you can also just see him kind of feeling uncomfortable. So, which last year I didn't feel like we saw that. I think.
And I think that's part of where, being a little bit beat up, it's probably cut into some of his pregame work where he's getting those reps over and over again, because he really does play the position well, both of them, but third well. I think he's had a rough week, and some of the throws, I think was a result of just not being able to do his consistent work like he needs to. And then, man, you make a bad one, then you're a little apprehensive and things like that. Cause it was about a week ago in the A series when we were talking about like some of the incredible plays he was making over there. So, I do think it's just a snapshot in time. Like, I don't think it's something where he can't not go play it at a really high level, but I think the right thing to do right now at this place in time is to play him at second.
And it felt like teams were really adjusting. It was a weak part. It was, some of it is just uncharacteristic, I think you'd say, and others was someone playing a new position. But we saw bunt attempts go up against you guys like crazy these last 2 weeks. Before Jazz was at third, it was 13 bunts down the line, and since 11. It went from 25th least or whatever to the top 5 bunts against. And you saw even picking on Rodon and Fried, and the Blue Jays did it, and then the Mets kind of followed suit with just infield singles and putting the ball in play and taking advantage. So
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say taking advantage of Fried and Rodon, like that's like a good game plan.
No, but making them beat you, and Fried usually will.
No, but definitely like teams and different guys in their skill set, like making it aware to them, like, hey, this is something we want to maybe try. And there's going to be situations where, you're playing a little bit percentages of like, do we take away the bunt in this situation? Are we willing to roll that dice and lay back to create some range? So you're always playing those percentage games a little bit too.
The other defensive point that has been killing me is the free bases, especially the trail runner. There's a lot of times you guys have given up the second most, allowing a runner to get to second on a single. And if you watch them, a lot of the times it's the outfielders coming up, firing to third, and there's no play there. Like, there's not even, it's not close. And then that runner gets to second, advances, or, Grisham misplayed the one, Dominguez and Grisham in left with that Marte to lead it off was kind of just no man's land, or I don't know what Jasson was doing on that
little bit no man's land. I think if there's a perfect route there, I think both of them have a chance. But remember, like Grish is coming off a day where he had the hammy, so he wasn't quite the same out there. JD, who I think really has made a number of really good, where you've seen his speed and athleticism go run down balls, starting to happen routinely. Maybe not the best route of that, so then it's a little bit no man's land there. So,
but this
we just got to keep at it.
It's something that last year we saw different personnel. Obviously, a lot of people talk about Game 5, but Game 1 still kills me with allowing the leadoff in the World Series to allow the leadoff guys get to third, and that one Ohtani play where Soto throws it to Glaber. And now the personnel is different, but the Yankees are still like top of the league and allowing from the throws from outfield to the infield, allowing runners to advance. Or it just kind of looks sloppier than you would expect sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're always trying to line up and hit the cutoff man in certain situations. You're going to take your shots sometimes. I think one I know that got talked about a little bit was maybe last homestand, maybe against the A's, where there's the throw to third by Belly that got through Jazz. Like it was actually a good throw and got into the runner. So Jazz got blocked out by the ball lost in the runner. So it got away. But in a game that you're losing and you've lost some, like that becomes a big story when it's actually a pretty good play to challenge and you're trying to make a play in a situation where you're down, and it's going to be a close play if you hit it and it just gets away because it gets into the runner, which can happen in those kind of plays.
Yeah, they all are individually not horrible, but in the whole, because then you go to the next game and Glaber throws one to Jazz and a run scores, and then Glaber gets the ball in the hole and tries to make the play or not Glaber, Volpe to Jazz, the runner scores. Volpe play in the hole, the runners advance, end up scoring. So it's like, yes, individually, I understand you can all that, but on the whole, it just happens a lot where on that one play with belly to Jazz, it was also not backing up. Who was the pitcher? It was Winans backed up home, not third. So
backed up
just
home,
like collectively in this spell, we've seen this happen more. And Judge even talked about it. You have to make the routine plays routine. Yep. What goes into like, this is not, it feels like a pointed question, but in genuine curiosity, we were just talking to each other. We hear about hitters meetings. We hear about pitchers meetings. Like, are there defensive meetings at the major league level, or is that something that, the game's the game and everyone shows up expected to be able to play? And
I mean, the guys do their defensive work pretty much every single day. We usually do that right before BP. Outfielders, it leaks into BP a little bit. As far as like our hitters meeting at the start of each, the first game of each series is more broad. So we get into, if we're on the road, ballpark factors and different things that factor in what a team does on the bases. Are they aggressive on the bases? Are they successful? Will they give you extra outs? What kind of defensive guys are we dealing with in the infield and the outfield? What kind of outfield arms are we dealing with? Pitcher catcher type things, picks, all those things. So the first day is more broad on the team. It's in the hitters meeting. We do it separately with pitchers. Then we do it separately with our hitters before we get into the bullpen guys we're going to talk about, the starting pitcher that day. And then, as things come up, a great play or heads up play or a misplay, those things are talked about with individuals.
Cool. Thank you. I appreciate the insight to that. Jake, did you want to go to the lefty versus the righties?
I don't know what you mean by that. I want to go to Dominguez leading off.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay. Because it was one of the bigger questions heading into the season. It's like, okay, we've got Judge. That's awesome. We've got one of the deeper lineups, knock on wood, and that's playing out. Like, you've got two guys on the bench every day that we kind of like their bat at different times than 2023. Willie can bang. That's irrelevant right now. For right now, Dominguez leads off 2-homer game. It's the Subway Series. It's 4th of July. That'll turn some heads in the city. I guess it was, for me, it's one of the first light bulb moments where Trent obviously takes a good at bat. He had the gangbusters April. He's been consistent, but not who he was in April. Dominguez, as a lefty, has been pretty consistent throughout the year. He had his one little funk there, but I don't know, man. I guess in my head, it was the first time I saw like turtleneck baseball. Dominguez leads off, Judge, Bellinger, Stanton, Jazz. Like, it feels like that could be the answer. Is that something you're going to roll out more to find out?
Yeah, I mean, certainly like JD's at bats, and really he's been consistent all year. I think you're underselling what a great year Grish is having, and how good that at bat is. So, like JD's leading off today because I have Grish out of the lineup today. I wanted to give him a second day just with the hammy stuff he's been dealing with. So he is leading off today, and man, I think he's had a week of just. I think Jasson's had a year full of solid ABs. Like, it's a quality at bat. It's a mature at bat. Even if I've said for a while, like, even though it hasn't been spectacular yet, it's been really steady and solid. I feel like, especially from the left side, feel like he's getting a little bit better and continuing to move the needle on the right side as well. But I feel like this past week was really, really dynamic between the last couple of games in Toronto, where, I mean, he's just pounding the ball the other way with good at bat after good at bat, carries that over into the Mets series. So encouraging signs, he continues to develop and play a big role for us.
I like it. I believe. And I guess that's the funny thing that we keep running through is, we
And sometimes you're building it with the guys on the bench, especially when you have the two righties on the bench. You're trying to set up a spot to where there's certain guys you're probably not going to hit for, right? You're trying to gain a spot where you can leverage a really good at bat to force them into a tough decision.
I guess the other thing, this circles back on third base just a little bit, but is it a game-by-game mentality? The Yankees are first in OPS. Like, the Yankees are first in on-base percentage. We're playing some Yankee baseball. I like that. And yet, we with this defensive stretch, I guess in my head, what the game Yankee fans are playing is like, I guess for me, it's start Peraza, and then if you need a pinch hitter late, you got guys on the bench. You got different options, and that helps with the defensive issues that have been hurting the team lately. When I feel like traditionally in baseball, it would be start the offensive guy, get a lead, put in the defensive guy.
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, look, it's a different kind of situation. It's kind of fluid right now, but first things first is I do want to move Jazz back to second. So we'll go from there. And Peraza is obviously, while he struggled a little bit at the plate, obviously, he has been outstanding defensively.
Today's a big day. I reached into my top drawer. I grabbed a pair of boxers, and guess what? They're my Skims.
Skims.
Which means I'm comfortable. I'm actually low. So Skims, if you want to send more, I would love that, because it is a good day when I wear my Skims, the brand known for revolutionizing shapewear. They've launched a line of men's underwear that's about to change your daily routine. I just explained how it changed mine. Makes my day brighter when I grab them. I have 2 pairs. I would like more, because they have an option for every underwear preference. I don't know what I'm wearing. They're tight, tighter than the other ones I have. So that's good. So you guys can do the same, and you can get yourself some Skims and have better days. Shop Skims at skims.com. Let them know we sent you.
Skims.
After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. That's how I get more Skims. And you guys get yourself a pair, but come on, let's all help each other out.
We can all help each other get more Skims.
I'd like a third pair. Thanks, Skims. The rotation took a pretty big hit with Clarke getting out. I was loving what we were seeing from Clarke this year. I thought he graduated from kind of a back end guy that's going to give you 5 good innings to he was giving you 6 every night. And it's like a real positive cog in the rotation. So it's a bummer for him to have the setback, but I'm sure he'll be back, and I'm excited when he gets back. In the meantime, the rotation kind of looks scary now, because you got Fried and Rodon, who have been great. Even with struggles lately, I don't think anyone's really worried or faltering about them. And then you have you got Stroman back in the rotation, who's looked better the last 2 starts. He's gotten you in games. That's been actually nice to see. Young William Warren, he's looked good. I think he just had a hiccup, but his metrics are good, so I like him. But it's a lot on the bullpen who's tired. To have 3 guys that are not proven, that cannot count on you like we were counting on Clarke to give you 6 every night. And now you got Schlittler, who I need to know what you guys call him, because I have
we're struggling with the 2 L's.
My brain hiccups every time before I try to say that name.
Yeah. Cam? How about that?
What do you guys call him?
I don't know. Probably Cam or Schlittler.
No, All right.
Schlittler?
Wellesley told me you called Jorbit Bibas Bit, and I was like, I wish I knew that so much earlier.
I call him Adonde Vivas.
All right, Jake, we'll take that one.
I'll take that one.
Yeah.
With the rotation, is Schlittler getting the start? Is that
Yeah, Schlittler will be up tomorrow, and he'll pitch Wednesday.
And is that play it by ear? You don't know if he's back in the rotation, if he's going to get...
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he's certainly we were excited about him in spring, and he actually got some really good looks in spring, even got a late start in spring training and performed really well. And then has got off to obviously a great start in the minor leagues this year, and somebody that we are very high on and think has a chance to be really good. So he's earned the opportunity, and I'm excited to see him go tomorrow. And hopefully he can, kind of flash and show what he showed us in spring training, but then is carried into the season. He's got real upside.
I think Jeff Nelson was doing one of those spring training games, and he said, I hope he doesn't get called up because he was having trouble saying the name as well. So if Nelly's on the broadcast, that's going to be fun. Callback. Yeah. Are you texting Cash and being like, hey, any
LOL.
Any moves early moves? Could use some arms.
Talking and texting all the time. I think it's all still taking shape. I know those conversations are all happening, and you're trying to you're getting your handle. You're doing two things right now. Like obviously there's the draft portion of things where everyone's getting ready for the draft, but then there's the doing all the org tracking stuff with other organizations, your own organization, kind of ranking your own players, other teams' players, where our needs are, having those now early conversations. But again, there's so many teams that are undefined still at this point. Obviously, we know we got some needs, and hopefully, there'll be a match at some point.
What's the Luis Heel update? Because that's the one that everyone's on the edge of their seat for that one.
Yeah, so he'll be live today in Somerset. I think he's 3 and 40 something, 43 pitches or something. And then the next one will be starting his rehab. So I think he starts his rehab then on Sunday, where hopefully he'll be around 3 and 50 for his first start out, and then slow build from there. We'll be conservative with the jumps, between kind of that 7 and 10 pitches, 10% each time. So hopefully he's doing well. I mean, he's doing really well. It's gone well. I know he's really chomping at the bit to get going and get in a real game here. So I think they want to do one more live with him today, though, to make sure we get that threshold built up so we don't get him in a game and have to pull him if you have a wonky inning or something. So, so Sunday should be the start of his rehab after today's live.
Okay.
And he's going to be, like, the plan is rotation. Because when Clarke was...
I mean, look, you never know what happens as the month unfolds, but yes, the plan is we're building him up to go back in the rotation. Yes.
Yeah. When Clarke was healthy and Warren's doing his thing, you're like, well, if you can not risk it with Heel and he becomes that flamethrower in the pen as he rejoins, because you don't know the timeline, but it's a little more sped up than that plan would have anyway. We've seen starters come back in September and kind of be more of a bullpen piece, bulk guy in a way. But now we need starting pitchers. Yeah. I scouted LaGrange in Double-A. I like his arm.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yeah. So just if whoever's in charge of ranking the guys,
you like 103 and.
I like him as a bullpen piece now. I think his results aren't there because he's working on third pitches, but that glass now high fastball and that 12-6 curve off of it, I can see that playing.
Yeah, and the one thing about him is they still think physically he's developing. So, which is pretty scary considering the stuff he's already possessing. So, yeah, he's done a great job and certainly kind of reestablished himself on the radar this year.
Hey, I've got kind of a not off the board baseball one for you, but it's something baseball people say because, like you said, I believe in defensive slumps. I think the whole team felt it a little bit. Volpe felt it a little bit, and like a baseball saying is kind of, well, if you put like a better defensive player next to them in the infield, that can help their defense. Is that something you believe in, or is that something you've seen on any teams where it's like that stabilizes things more?
I don't know about that. I mean, I think the more good defenders you have, there's probably a contagious thing to playing well and clean and efficient and all those things.
Yeah, no, just curious because I feel like that's something.
I don't know about the next to somebody, but
okay, yeah, because I feel like that's something fans talk about, like, oh yeah, and if we put this guy over there, that'll help him, and it's like
it's power of the crowd,
Yeah, I don't know if that's real.
You're as good looking as a company you keep.
Okay.
I mean, it's certainly. I felt like Volpe was shading up the middle more, knowing Jazz has range, and DJ has less range up the middle than Jazz at second. Like, you even had Jazz and Volpe mic'd up for a spring training session talking about balls up the middle and being like, we can both get there. So you go this way, I go that way, but you don't have to overcommit. Whereas you actually saw the numbers on infield singles up the middle go down when DJ went there because Volpe's now able to shade, is my guess.
No, we're not positioning guys according to the other guys.
Okay.
Necessarily. Now, obviously with Jazz and Volpe, you got a ton of range there. So that communication then becomes important when there is a play that you both are able to make and there's a force play. So that communication is important between those two, but you're positioning according to, where you hope you can get to the most possible balls with the 9 fielders.
With Volpe, we saw the defense go on a slide. We've also seen every 2-week stretch offensively is worse than the last. Like, it just keeps compiling. There's not many other options. Peraza's at third. I don't know what you could do if you wanted to search to give him a week to mix him in to give him breaks. You're kind of stuck. But is there any assessment to that? Like, he's played so much baseball these last 3 years. He's in like the top 50 guys of innings played. We've seen it wearing him some years. It seems like it's taken a toll these last couple weeks, those 2 long stretches. Is there anything?
You've seen it wear on him the last couple? What do you mean taking it?
The defense has gotten like to a place where we haven't never seen him play like that. Last year he was he was real. I thought last year defensively he was better than his rookie year when he won the Gold Glove. Like, I thought last year he was.
It's a compliment to his defense that every player goes through offensive slumps. I guess it's the first time Yankee fans have been like, oh, okay, Volpe's offense is going this way and the glove's going that way. So that's kind of been the more yellow flag if it was a left-handed beach chair.
Look, I mean, there's definitely been a few plays he's left on the table in these last couple of weeks, but like, I also feel like, I mean, he's deservedly earned the reputation that he's got as a defender. So, I mean, I'd like to chalk it up to like a tough couple of weeks where a couple of plays that he is capable of making or normally even makes didn't make. That's going to happen. It's around us losing some games and him struggling a little bit offensively. So he becomes the poster child, but it's like, this happens to everyone, like everyone. I mean, it's
defensive spells.
He's in the doldrums of his, he's in the worst stretch of his season, let's call it. And like, I get it. You want it to be great and you want it to be more. He's a 700 and a gold glover. Like there's guys out there that you'd go sign that for a lot of money to go play and there'd be no noise around it. But because you want him to be a superstar and whatever, and it's not happened to the rate people want, like, the guy's a really good player.
Well,
okay. And it doesn't mean we don't expect more or want more from him or demand more from him. And he's front in line with that. He wants to be great at this. He's gone through a tough couple of weeks where he hasn't swung the bat great necessarily, and he hasn't made a couple plays that he normally makes because he's great out there. Like,
I understand what you're saying. I'm saying you're in a tough spot because it'd be a situation where you could give some rest, but you can't. Because now your backup shortstop is playing third. And are there any other things you can do to kind of help him out with the heat dog days of summer? And he's got to go play the most demanding position on the field, besides maybe center field, for every inning.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're right. In a perfect world, you'd have that, where you could, and I think I've gotten a couple this first half, but that's been a little bit of a challenge. But also I think physically and mentally, he is very equipped to go to that post every day, like more than most guys. Like he's physically, and, we track him and measure him and he's physically, he's kind of a beast physically, and the way he trains and stuff, and as as tough a stretch as it's been or whatever, I do feel like he's mentally tough too, and able to deal with all of it. Yes, in a perfect world, you would be able to get him those occasional, days.
Did you ask him why he hit Judge in the face with that ball?
The heck, man.
I know.
That was wild.
Not what you want.
No.
Sure isn't.
Yeah.
That's I mean, for Yankee fans, obviously by this point, in a 6-game losing streak, people lose their minds, but it's like, right, timeout. Volpe, Judge coming off the field? What's going on out there?
Yeah, when it happened, I didn't know what happened. I just felt like something, chaos or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? They're like, Judge, he's going down. They say he's bleeding. I'm like, oh no. So, yeah, that was not a great couple minutes there.
Put it in our rear view.
Yeah.
Go beat up on the Mariners and the Cubbies.
I think you and Brad should go recreate it. See if you can make the same throw.
Yeah. I feel like I've been getting hit in the face now for a few weeks. So
Been a tough stretch. And I know how much you guys stick to your guns, saying nothing changes and all of that. And I understand why you guys have that mentality. And I think behind closed doors, you offer more that you don't want to offer the public. But as fans, it's like nothing changes. This is like the worst stretch of Yankee baseball since 1992. I think they said and now we're changing. We're moving Jazz. So something has changed now. I like that.
Yeah. I mean, I think a little bit of is the stretch we just went through. And when you have a couple short outings and a pitcher leave with injury on the heels of a guy that only goes a couple innings, and you're 26 out of 27 and you got some attrition in the bullpen, you're trying to, I think those guys, got beat up and worn down a little bit in this stretch too. And that kind of caught up to us in a year where, up until, really the first few months of this year, we've pitched pretty well. And I think that caught up in this stretch a little bit with just having to go to the whip, losing a couple guys. That's been a little bit of a challenge for us, but I like the way we're swinging the bats, and confident that the run prevention will get better here as we get a little more stabilized here moving forward.
With a stretch of 3 righties in a row, do you look at that with eye candy like I did and be like, oh, Dominguez, let's run him out there every day? Because it's hard to get him and everyone reps with all the outfielders. But the truth is Grisham and Dominguez are hitting righty pitchers really well. Belly, who you want out there every game for his defense and versatility, but he's really mashing lefties and struggling against righties this year. So there is a weird platoon to be had.
Yeah, but is he going to struggle against righties moving forward? Don't get so prisoner of the,
No, I'm just trying to get Dominguez some everyday run to get his confidence and comfortability up.
Against lefties, I do prioritize keeping Belly in there. Okay. Where, obviously right now it's a little more of a challenge with all of them back, and so, but tonight you'll see JD in that leadoff spot.
I like that. And Randy, who's one of he's just a killer. He's hit homers in 6 of his last 7 games. So just be careful.
Careful with Randy.
Every time you say that stuff, it's
you're putting us in the bad juju bucket.
I mean,
okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, don't blame the weatherman for saying rain's coming if you don't grab an umbrella.
We're going to try to get people out as best we can.
That was Yogi Berra. Hey, we got a trivia for you presented by T-Mobile. Get the best 5G coverage in the game with T-Mobile. 5 different Yankees have hit a leadoff home run this season. Can you name them?
Shit.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Wells.
Austin Wells, yeah.
Leadoff season.
Goldschmidt.
Paul Goldschmidt, absolutely.
Day 2.
Dominguez just happened.
Grisham.
Trent Grisham, obviously the best to ever do it.
Rice.
Ben Rice. Bingo. So actually, maybe we'll fade ourselves. Maybe just throw different cats in the leadoff spot so they hit homers.
Right. It's the homer spot.
Fuck.
All right. Thanks, Booney.
All right, guys.
Baseball fans, summer is in full swing, and the season is heating up from mid-season rivalries to breakout performances. Every game is packed with drama. There's no better time to jump in with our partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. Right now, new customers who bet just $5 get $150 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use our promo code JMBaseball and bet just $5 on any wager and get $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code JMBaseball only at DraftKings Sportsbook. That was Bantering with Boone. Good news. Jazz is back at second. If you want to go watch him play there, use the code Yanks 2025 at SeatGeek because they are the place to get tickets, and code Yanks 2025 will get you 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek, no matter what. Any tickets. You download the app, they say, there's a good seat and it's a good value. And you go, great, scoop it up. Yanks 2025, 10% off. That means if it was like $1,426 worth of tickets, you'd now pay? Comment below.
Yanks 2025, SeatGeek. SeatGeek. What'd you learn, Jim?
Let's see. What did we learn? Jazz is going back. He's kind of hanging on that it's the arm strength at third, which I don't necessarily think that's true. I think last year I was very worried about Jazz coming in on balls. I think judging from all the data I looked at this morning and seeing the bunt attempts and the misplays, like me and Beebs looked at a lot of plays that are labeled not error, but poor play. And it was all sorts of balls. And it wasn't just throwing. Like it was like hot shots that hit off his glove then bounce. It was worse than last year. It had less promise than last year. It needed to end. I don't think it's, like Boone kind of left room open for like, well, the arm feels good now, so we're going to try it again. And it's like, no, you're not. And I don't think they are.
Yeah, I think it's going to depend on what the deadline can bring in. Because the whole thing is having it as an option that, okay, who knows what the rest of the season will have to offer, that maybe we will need Jazz at third base at some point. But it's obviously not when the team is at its best. So moving him back to second, it should make the right side and shortstop a strong part of your team's identity. And even when Praz is at third, I know the at-bats have been putrid, but it could make what's been the team's weakness during their worst part of the season a strength again. I'm glad they're doing it. It felt like they were alluding to it last week and not pushing the button. They're pushing the button, and it's the right move. And third base is a massive footwork position. Like, that's... like all the highlight reel plays Jazz made because he has athleticism and the arm strength, but like
you're in a cage.
Third base, if you field the ball and you use proper footwork to get yourself going to first base, you make the throw and the play incrementally easier than if you just field it and you're planted. Like that throw becomes so much longer, so much more difficult, and it clearly also became mental and that's also okay, because Jazz's press conference went from, I'll play anywhere and I've always done anywhere for the team, and then it turned into like, third base.
I'm a second baseman, but that's where they want me, so I'll do it.
Yeah.
Let's see. I wanted to talk about the sloppy defense, and I don't know. He wasn't as... I think people that watched last year and we were just yelled about, or even 2023, like, it's not really a good, if you want to listen to that, you can. I don't think it's gets you anywhere productive. He didn't really counter. And he said, individually, I'm like, individually you can say this and that and this and that. But like on a whole, you guys are throwing the ball around like crazy lately. He didn't really say much just said, got to clean it up.
Yeah, and I think that was also our intro press conference to what we've been discussing between like Jeter interviews and stuff like that. They have half the conversation down. It's like, yeah, it's a long season and we got another game tomorrow. Let's go attack it. Let's go get it and we'll win tomorrow. But they're missing but we did bad and that's not acceptable. That used to be a key part of a Jeter press conference when they lost or they made wrong plays, and they're making wrong plays.
He said that a little bit with in the middle of that Volpe where he got all on his defensive thing, saying like, it's not acceptable when he holds himself higher. Like that's what everyone said about Volpe. I understand that, but he's, if you watch, he nods along to a lot of stuff. Like every 2 weeks, Volpe's numbers are getting worse than the last 2 weeks, and he just like, yep. And then he got upset when I said that it's wearing on him. He's like, it's not wearing on him. Okay, well, that doesn't counter a lot of the actual talking points. And talked about, what else did he nod along that I was like, you don't have this. Oh, when I was like counting on these three guys, these three pitchers in rotation to give you 6 innings every night. It was like, it was almost like it's going to be fucking tough.
Like, particularly in the how it wears on the bullpen part. He was like,
where's Talkin? Where's Talkin?
You need Rodon. I think he got DFA'd.
That's what happened last year.
You're going to need a big start out of Rodon and Fried the Friday, Saturday coming in. So, but we got to get there. And like the Mariners are a solid baseball team. They've had their offensive struggles. Their last 2 games, they won 1-0. So, buckle up.
Buckle up. And Randy, been warned.
I respect what he did because I think that whole conversation, I think if it was even flipped, I think it goes the same route.
Yeah.
I don't think he hits you with the weatherman analogy on the way out.
Enough.
That was you. That was on brand for you. But yeah, him spinning the juju on us was very us spinning the juju on him. So I respected that.
Yeah, that's just baseball talk.
It's just baseball talk.
Spiritualism and superstitions.
What's your pitching path to victory tonight? Hartlieb to...
It's Warren for 8. And then the sandwich.
Weave Dog redemption game. Sandridge is off the team.
Well, I'll call him back up.
I didn't get it at the intro, James. Everyone listen. And BBD's birthday. Happy birthday, Beebs.
Happy birthday, Beebs.
Yeah.
thanks, guys.
32?
Unfortunately, too close.
Got a nose burp out of it.
We'll end the show with a lie.
As we started.
Go Yanks. Tell them, Grams.
Go Yankees.
Go 4-2.
What would that do?
Feel better.
Make it feel like the misery's over.
Who's after the Mariners?
Cubs.
They're good.
I'll forget that.
Yeah.
I'll forget that 2 more times until it happens.